Hi guys, so I'm going to read Top Notch Comics number 9. So this is published in October of 1940. So Top Notch Comics, featuring the Black Hood, Man of Mystery, with Roy the Superboy. The Black Hood, Man of Mystery, the Hermit and the Skull. A new figure zooms onto the horizon of law and order. The Black Hood, Man of Mystery. The greatest force for truth and justice the world has ever known. But first, our story starts in the city of New York, with Officer Kip Burland patrolling his beat.
Howdy, Kip. How's tricks today?
Couldn't be any better, Mr. Khan.
You gonna referee the PAL bouts tonight, Officer Kip? The neighborhood certainly has been peaceful since Kip came on this beat. It certainly has. And all the children idolize him, too.
10 minutes till midnight. Well, I guess I'll just meander past the old Woodrow mansion before I knock off for the night. Well, what goes on there? Strange. He's in a masquerade costume. I better investigate. Hey, you! Stop!
Stop? Why, because a mere policeman orders me to?
Holy Jupiter! What is this? A man or a corpse?
Fool! You dared interfere with the skull? Insolent meddler! You shall pay for injuring my dignity. Man or corpse indeed. Your brother officers shall find you with these few baubles in your hands, and arrest you for the crime I have just committed. I've been leading the police such a merry chase that they'll be glad to pin my crimes on any victim. This shall bring them in a hurry.
Gosh, Kip Burland, with a handful of diamonds. Who'd have thought that of him? He must have tripped when he came off the balcony.
There's nothing lower than to use your uniform as a cover, while you rob the people you're paid to protect.
I tell you, I was framed.
Burland's story makes sense. We don't have much evidence against him, other than the diamonds he had, but the newspapers have been after us for a long while, and if we convict him, that will keep them off our trails.
As police commissioner, it is my duty to relieve you of your badge. You will report to the county jail to go on trial for grand larceny.
Out on bail. They won't listen to me, or give me a chance to explain. The only way I can clear myself is by bringing in that walking corpse who framed me.
For the few days preceding his trial, Kip prowls the streets of the city, ever on alert for the man who had caused his disgrace. One night,
Fur warehouses don't get deliveries at this hour. That's a robbery, and maybe my friend is tied up with it. I can't afford to pass up any bets. Come out into the open, rats. I want one good look at each of your faces.
Hey, boss, a raid!
Fools! It's just one man. Take care of him.
You're the man I want.
You'll need more bullets to pierce the skull's clothes. Get him, you incompetent slobs. Here's this, boss. Splendid. He's the same fool policeman who tried to cross me once before. He shall have no more opportunities to waste my precious time. Get rid of him. When we get a couple of miles up the post road, we'll pass him out.
Better pump some slugs into him first.
Yeah, we'll give him a couple. On the fly, too, for good measure. Now step on it, Joe. Let's get out of here quick.
Shots! Someone is shooting. I'd better investigate. They came from the direction of the road. He's still alive, but only instant medical attention can keep the flame of his life from flickering out. I pray that my medical knowledge does not fail me now. The man has a remarkable constitution. I took 8 bullets out of him, and still he lives. 4 days now that he's been in a coma, hovering between life and death. I wonder who he is. He doesn't look like a gangster, and yet it is evident that he was taken for a ride.
Where am I?
In the cabin of a hermit, miles deep in the woods. You came close to death, lad, but you're well on the road to recovery now.
I owe my life to you, so you might as well know everything about me. I was a policeman until I was framed for a robbery by some criminal who looks like a living corpse. Then all the years I served the public meant nothing.
Looks like a living corpse, eh? And it must be the skull. I know him well. Many years ago I was a sheriff in a small western town, but he made me an outlaw. I swore that I'd study and work and become smart enough to defeat him. But my studies took a long time, and now that I'm smart enough, I just sap my strength. So in the long battle of life, I've been defeated by the skull.
Not necessarily. I'm young, and I can be strong again. Teach me what you have learned, and I'll make your fight against the skull my fight. I too have reasons to hate him.
No, son. The skull only represents crime. If I teach you what I know, you must promise to use your knowledge against all crime and all criminals.
I'll promise you that gladly.
Thus, Kip Burland starts his training both to rebuild his strength and to learn all of science and all of knowledge in order to make himself the world's greatest fighter against crime. And then, many months later, the Black Hood is born.
With the name and costume of the Black Hood, you are now a man of mystery, and that you must remain, for only mystery can strike terror into the hearts of criminals.
I'll do that, and you shall not regret having made me your pupil. And now, goodbye.
In the meantime, the skull has been making a laughingstock of the law, robbing wherever he pleases, spreading terror among the police, giving warnings of his crimes, and then boldly committing them under the very eyes of the law.
Ha ha! The fool police. They think they can cope with the skull. This is interesting. Barbara Sutton is having a masquerade party for her debut in 2 weeks, and the richest men and women in the country are expected to attend.
In the Sutton home in New York,
Be sure you mail all those invitations, James, and be sure you call the decorator and the caterer.
Very good, Mrs. Sutton.
What is this?
A note, madam, addressed to you.
Dear Mrs. Sutton, I forgive you for overlooking me when I sent out invitations. But never fear, the skull shall not miss your daughter's party. Oh! Barbara! Barbara, this is terrible! Horrible! Awful! Oh, Barbara, look at this! I'm coming, Mother. Kindly notify your other guests that if they fail to attend the party, I shall visit them later, personally. What can we do? He says that if we notify the police, or anyone who has not already been invited, comes to the debut, the 10 richest guests will be killed. We have to do as he says, and go ahead with the party. What's happening?
The skull's going to visit Barbara's debut. The Suttons say that the skull knows exactly what jewels I possess.
The skull's warnings go out to a banker.
If I don't wear all my jewels, the skull will kill me and steal my jewels later.
A society matron, and a prominent young lawyer, David Seaman. The skull will take the jewels he wants sometime during the night, and any victim who raises an outcry will die. In New York, we find the Black Hood, but he lives under an alias. For Kip Burland is an outlaw, wanted for grand larceny and bail jumping.
The nerve of the skull announcing his plans for the Sutton debut in the papers. Think I'll take a look into this.
The night of the Sutton masquerade debut.
You're David Seaman, aren't you?
Yes, what can I do for you?
Plenty. Get me into that room and give me your invitation to the Sutton party. I'm going there, posing as you.
I can't. I must go to the party myself. The skull will kill me if I don't.
Sorry I have to do this to you, but it's absolutely necessary. And don't worry, I'll see to it that the skull doesn't harm you.
So the Black Hood is disguising himself as David Seaman. So when he's in front of the Suttons, I'm going to give him a different voice.
So Mr. and Mrs. Van Rensselaer, I'm so glad you came. Hello, Barbara. Has the skull come yet? Has anyone seen him? No, there's been no sign of him yet. Why, David Seaman, that's quite a novel costume you're wearing. Are you frightened because the skull is coming?
Not particularly.
You have no reason to be frightened, David. After all, you have nothing that the skull could possibly want.
I guess that's right, Mrs. Sutton.
Come on, David. Let's dance. Yes, go ahead. You children dance. All the guests have arrived now, Barbara, so you won't have to greet anyone else at the door. Let's all try to have a good time, even though this terrible shadow is hovering over all of us. I don't know why, David, but somehow I like you much more tonight than I ever did before.
That's strange, isn't it?
Help! Help! I've been robbed of my pearls! My pearls! What happened?
The skull!
The skull! He's here!
As the victim falls, dead on her feet, her flesh starts shriveling until her face is a caricature of the skull.
Look! This is what killed her! The skull caught her in the jugular vein with a poison pellet!
He's in here all right, disguised as one of the guests, and he's using a blowgun to quiet his victims. Those pellets must be dipped in a poison that eats away all the flesh of the face.
Silence! The skull speaks. You have just seen what happens when my victims are noisy. I trust my next customer will be wiser and stay alive.
Oh dear, it's happened! He's here! Who'll be next? I can't stand this! I think I'm going to faint!
Don't faint yet, Mrs. Sutton. We're the newspaper photographers, and we'd like to have your permission to take some pictures.
I can't be bothered now, David. Be a dear and take care of these gentlemen of the press.
I'd be glad to.
The Suttons are candid camera fiends. They'd like it if you boys get up on the balcony and take all the pictures you want while nobody is expecting them. That's right. You get over to the other side so you can cover the entrance. There's just one thing I've got to demand. The Suttons are very particular about what kind of pictures they allow to be printed. So you'd better set up a dark room and develop all the pictures right after you take them. I'll have to okay them all.
Sure thing. You're sure acting like a real soldier, Barbara. Bearing up the way you're doing under all this strain.
I don't know why it is, David, but I feel awfully safe when you're around. And heaven knows you've never affected me this way before.
Suddenly,
I've been robbed! I've been robbed! Look! Her head looks like a skull! Who'll be next? I wonder.
She shouldn't have shouted.
I can't stand any more of this.
You've got to be brave, Mrs. Sutton. Everything would be all right if the victims didn't scream.
What can we do, David?
I'll see if the photographers have caught anything I can use. Very interesting. He's smart, this skull. Darn smart. But his conceit in letting the photographers come is going to prove his undoing. Shall we dance, Mrs. Sutton?
Why, David, I'd love to dance with you. David, can't you do something to try to catch the skull?
I wouldn't dare, Mrs. Sutton. He's far too dangerous. But I'll catch you. In you go. Down into that jug. Good and tight. And drop that cigarette holder.
Oh, David, how dare you! Oh, help! What's going on?
Who'd the skull kill now?
David, Mother, what on earth is happening?
Stay back, all of you. I've got something interesting to show you.
David must be the skull. He must be the one. David, don't you dare touch my mother.
Don't worry, Barbara. I won't touch your mother. I just want to introduce you to the skull.
Dog, you'll suffer for this. You'll live to hate the day you were born.
you'll probably find your mother safe at home, Barbara.
Maybe just a bit shaken up and frightened, but not hurt. And you'll find David Seaman in his home, in the same condition. Now call in the police. They're stationed outside.
But who are you?
Me? I'm the Black Hood. Goodbye now.
But would you wait and let me thank you?
Come along, Skull. We got the hot seat waiting for you.
The Black Hood. I wonder who he is and why he ran from the police. And, gee, I'd love to see him again.
The next night. Hello, Barbara. Remember me?
The Black Hood.
I thought I owed you a little explanation. These pictures are the things that tripped up the skull. He had his cigarette holder fixed up to blow poison darts. By the way, how is your mother?
She's fine, completely recovered from her shock. Mother says that just before she left for the party, she went into her room, and the skull was there. He took her costume, and then disguised himself to look like her.
That's right. And being a master of voice imitation, he had no trouble on that score.
But who are you? And how can I see you again? And why do you run from the police?
Who I really am, and why I run from the police, I cannot tell. But if you want to see me, you can look for me. Look wherever crime is being done, wherever innocent people are being oppressed, wherever injustice reigns. There, you will always find the Black Hood, fighting to wrong all wrongs. And so I guess that ends the career of the Skull. The police took him under heavy guard to the death house.
The police took him? My son, you made a big mistake. The jail has not yet been built, from which the Skull cannot escape.
So, the Black Hood will be wherever there is trouble. Well, Barbara, from now on you go looking for trouble. And when you find it, yell long and loud for the Black Hood.
So the Black Hood challenges the Skull. He won the first deal, but we'll see. We'll see.
The Black Hood versus the Skull. Is this battle finished? Or does the Skull escape? Don't miss the next issue of Top Notch Comics. the Wizard, the man with the super brain, and Roy the Superboy. With his super brain and photographic mind, the Wizard is able to visualize faraway happenings. With these mental powers and his super strength, the Wizard is the scourge of the underworld. Now teamed up with the Wizard is Roy, the Superboy, marvel of 1940. A car pulls up in front of a police station.
Those racketeers can't frighten me. I'm going to the police with my story. What's that? Merciful heavens! Blaine, look!
Good Lord, I've seen unusual sights, but...
Wow! Look at that guy go! He's scared silly!
Jane, don't you mix in this murder business. This is a case for the Wizard.
That's the trouble with you. Always depending on the Wizard. There's a story there for our paper, and I'm going after it. Hey, there, wait a minute. I want to talk to you.
No! I don't want them to kill me! Go away!
This is Blaine Whitney, big newspaper owner. And he'll protect you.
It's those bail bond racketeers. First they ban me out, and then they charge me an exorbitant interest rate. That other corpse was somebody just like myself, who refused to be intimidated by their threats.
As the key is inserted into the lock,
Come into my house, and I'll tell you...
I'll be.
Help! Police! He's been electrocuted.
A murder? How did it happen?
The girl was standing right next to him. I saw her.
Bail bond racketeers, he said. If I were to get into some trouble, they might approach me. I'll do it. He was just an intimate friend of mine. We were just going into his home to, have a little talk.
Okay, sister. You'll do your talking to the police.
Jane, don't!
Do you know this guy?
I never saw him before in my life.
Wow, what a whopper. Roy, shh.
Blaine and Roy follow Jane to the police station. I'm beginning to see Jane's plan. It might work. We'll just see what develops and make sure she isn't harmed.
Why didn't you tell the cops who she was?
We'll have to lock you up for questioning.
Oh, that would mean scandal. My father has plenty of money. He'll fix everything.
Well, all you have to do is call him up to bail you out.
But that's impossible. He's abroad.
Then I must lock you up.
The boss just tipped me off. It's Irene Gottschalk's, and she's worried about scandal. Hurry down with that bail.
Uh-oh. Things are going to pop.
There's Miss Gottschalk's, boys.
You see, Miss Gottschalk's, we loan you the bail and charge you a little interest.
How nice. Where do I sign?
Right here, miss.
Jane is immediately released on bail. Hello, Jane. How did everything go?
Shh. Let's go back to the office first.
She fell for it.
Just a small interest rate. Wait till our old man starts paying.
Look! She's a reporter!
What? Get the boys!
I snapped a picture of that contract with my little locket camera, and I'm running a story right now.
Oh, no, you ain't, sister.
It's one of those crooks! I'm not afraid of you. Oh,
Roy, be careful. That fixes you, Brett.
Blaine, you coward! Why don't you do something?
But what can I do?
the brat's dead.
Why don't you knock him off right now?
The boss wants to take care of him himself. Take him in there. We gotta wait for the boss.
You'll suffer for this. The wizard is my friend. He'll be here soon.
What? The wizard knows about us? Quick! Head off the boss! Tell him to get rid of all those bail bond papers.
That bullet only creased me. If I didn't come to right away, I wouldn't have been able to trail them. I'll trail them to their boss. But first, I'll choke up this chimney so that the smoke can't come out. That smoke will give Blaine a chance to become the wizard without being seen. This is easy.
And now the wizard's going to pay back a few debts.
The float's clogged up. Gotta get out or we'll choke to death. Hey, Switz, how about them two in there?
Let him stay.
The wizard!
I'm getting out of here.
Seems like those boys aren't anxious to become better acquainted. But I am. Now, if I haven't lost my eye... Oof! Bullseye! The wizard brings his super brain into play.
Wizard! Wizard!
It's Roy. He's directing me to the ringleader's house.
What happened to Blaine?
Blaine, I sent him home. Get the police to take care of these hoodlums. In the ringleader's home?
It's the wizard, boss. He's wise.
With these papers gone, they'll never be able to pin anything on us. There go $100,000 worth of bail bond receipts. But we'll get it all back when this thing blows over.
But before the receipts can be destroyed...
Pardon my taking ways.
Get him! Don't let him escape!
Try and do it.
Oof!
How's that for using my head?
A signal, and more thugs storm into the room.
Don't let the brat get away, or we're all sunk!
Roy is taking them all on all alone. He may be able to use my help.
Fling him into the fire!
I got something to say about that.
The wizard!
The hydrogun. A magnetic tube. B vapor tube. Filter. Z ray tube. Condenser. Ozone chamber. CO2. Trigger. And expeller lens. Let's make these tough guys scramble, Roy.
Whee! This is fun!
Let me down!
So, it's the chief of police himself who's behind this racket. In the DA's office...
I tell you, DA, those murders today, tied up with the bail bond racketeers. Our reputations are at stake.
But we have no evidence, Mr. Mayor. Suddenly...
What's that?
The chief of police! Great heavens! These papers give us all the evidence we need on the bail bond racketeers, and our chief of police is behind it. Later...
If I weren't so busy with this bail bond scoop, Blaine, I'd tell you what I think of you.
But I told you this was a job for the wizard in the first place.
Sure, Jane, I heard him.
It's only the beginning, boys and girls. It's only the beginning. Every new feature of the wizard and Roy the Superboy brings with it a fresh thrill, a new blood, tingling adventure that will make you wait impatiently for the next issue of Top Notch Comics. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you could like, comment, and subscribe, that'd be appreciated. If you have any requests you want me to do, just let me know in the comments, and I'll tell you when I can do the request. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys later.